My boss stole my promotion and gave it to nephew, thinking I would stay silent. But when the CEO asked why I was resigning, I told the truth. My boss smirked until the CEO said, "I think we need a serious talk in my office." I always believed that hard work meant something. That if you put in the hours, went the extra mile, and proved yourself over time, people would notice. That you'd be rewarded. But that's the thing about believing in fairness, you don't realize how naive you are until someone slaps the truth right in your face. For 12 years, I dedicated everything to Bradford and Company, a logistics firm in downtown Chicago. I started from the bottom, working as an entry-level analyst, making just enough to scrape by in a cramped apartment with noisy upstairs neighbors and a fridge that barely kept food cold. But I stuck it out, worked my BTT off, and climbed the corporate ladder the right way. No shortcuts. No favors. Just hard work. When my department head, Richard Faulkner, announced his early retirement, I thought, finally. This is it. I had been running most of the department's operations for years anyway. Richard himself told me, "You're the best guy for the job, Wes. I already recommended you to Donovan." Michael Donovan, our division VP, was the one making the final decision. And since I had done nothing but deliver results under his leadership, I wasn't worried. Big mistake. The day the promotion was announced, I sat in the conference room with everyone else, waiting. I already had a speech prepared in my head, something humble, something that acknowledged the team effort. But when Michael stood in front of the room and smiled, the words that came out of his mouth weren't the ones I expected. "I'm thrilled to announce that the new head of operations will be Brad Faulkner." Wait. What? Applause erupted. Some people clapped hesitantly, others just exchanged glances, clearly as confused as I was. I turned my head slowly and saw Brad Faulkner, Richard's 26-year-old nephew, grinning like he'd just won the damn lottery. Brad. A guy who had been with the company for 18 months. A guy who, just last week, had asked me how to generate a simple report in Excel. I felt my heart pound against my ribs. This had to be a mistake. I turned toward Michael, who was already shaking Brad's hand. I waited, hoping maybe he'd look my way, say something, acknowledge me in some way. But he didn't. He wouldn't even meet my eyes. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. The meeting ended. People shuffled out, whispering, throwing me quick glances of sympathy, but no one said anything outright. Nobody wanted to get involved. I stood up slowly, my legs feeling heavier than usual. As the room emptied, I saw Michael heading toward his office. I wasn't about to let this go. I caught up to him just as he reached his door. "Michael." He paused, turned slightly. "Wes. Can we talk?" He sighed, but gestured for me to follow him inside. His office was twice the size of mine, with a massive desk, leather chairs, and a ridiculous glass sculpture in the corner that probably cost more than my car. He sank into his chair, motioning for me to sit. I didn't. I just stared at him. "Why?" Michael leaned back, clasping his hands together. "Look, Wes. I know this isn't what you expected, but, no, stop. Don't SHT me. I was the most qualified person for that job. Richard even recommended me." Michael exhaled through his nose, tapping his fingers against the desk. "Brad has fresh ideas. He's young, adaptable. And, well." He hesitated, then shrugged. "He's family." There it was. Not even a real explanation. Just family. I felt something burn in my chest. 12 years. 12 years I had spent giving this company everything I had, only to be passed over for some nepotistic SHT. Michael must have seen the rage on my face because he put his hands up. "Wes, don't do anything stupid. You're a valued employee. There are other opportunities down the road." I laughed. Actually laughed. Other opportunities? "Michael, I was supposed to be promoted. I earned it. I worked for it," Michael sighed. "It's done, Wes." He reached for a folder on his desk, already dismissing me. I took a slow breath, trying to steady myself. "You know what? Fine." Michael glanced up. "Fine? Yeah. Fine. You made your choice." I nodded. "Now I'm making mine." I turned and walked out. By the time I reached my desk, my decision was made. I wasn't going to waste another second in this place. I sat down, pulled up a blank document, and typed, "Resignation letter, Wesley Carter." If they didn't value me, then I had no reason to stay. But before I turned it in, I had one last thing to do. I knocked on Howard Langston's door. Howard was the CEO of Bradford and Company, a man in his 60s with a reputation for being no nonsense. If there was one person who might give a damn about what had just happened, it was him. His voice came through the door. "Come in." I stepped inside, letter in hand. Howard looked up from his desk, adjusting his glasses. Wes. Didn't expect to see you today. I placed the letter in front of him. I wanted to give this to you personally. His eyes flickered to the paper. You're quitting? I nodded. I gave this company 12 years, Howard. I worked for that promotion. I earned it. His expression darkened. Then why aren't you in that office right now? I held his gaze. Because Michael gave the job to Richard's nephew. Silence. Howard leaned back, fingers drumming against the desk. His jaw tightened slightly. Is that so? I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. He stared at the resignation letter for a long moment. Then, in a low voice, he said, call Michael in here. I swallowed. My fingers tightened around the armrest of the chair. 5 minutes later, Michael walked in, wearing his usual smug expression. He had no idea what was about to hit him. Michael walked into Howard Langston's office like he owned the place, his usual smugness radiating off of him like cheap cologne. I sat in the chair across from Howard's desk, my resignation letter still resting between us like a loaded gun waiting to go off. Michael barely spared me a glance before turning to Howard. You wanted to see me? Howard didn't look up right away. Instead, he ran a finger along the edge of my resignation letter, his expression unreadable. Finally, he leaned back in his chair, folded his hands, and looked straight at Michael. Wes just handed in his resignation, he said evenly. Michael's smirk barely faltered. That's unfortunate. His eyes flickered toward me. But people come and go. We'll find someone else. Howard raised an eyebrow. That's so? Michael gave a casual shrug. Look, I get it. Wes is upset. He wanted that promotion, but at the end of the day, it was my call. And I went with the candidate I believed was the best fit. I clenched my jaw. The best fit. Howard exhaled slowly, rubbing his temple. Michael, tell me something. He steepled his fingers. What exactly made Brad Faulkner the best fit? Michael blinked. Just for a second. It was quick, but I caught it. He wasn't expecting that question. Well, Michael started, clearing his throat. Brad's got energy. He's young, adaptable. He's got experience? Howard interrupted. Michael hesitated. Then forced a smile. Not as much as Wes, but he's got potential. Howard hummed. So, you passed over a man with 12 years of experience for someone with potential. Michael was sweating now, but he still had that fake, practiced charm in his voice. I believed Brad was the right choice. Howard was silent for a moment. Then he slowly leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. Tell me the truth, Michael. Did you give Brad the job because he's Richard's nephew? Michael let out a stiff chuckle. Howard, come on. That's ridiculous. I would never. Would you bet your job on that? The room fell dead silent. Michael's smile cracked for the first time. Excuse me? Howard gestured to my resignation letter. Wes is one of the best employees we have. He's built relationships with our biggest clients. He's kept this department running like a machine. If he leaves, it will cost us, big time. His voice darkened. And if I find out that we lost him because you handed a crucial position to someone unqualified out of pure nepotism, then you and I are going to have a very serious problem. Michael shifted in his seat. He wasn't smiling anymore. His fingers tapped against his leg, just slightly. A nervous tick. I just sat there, watching. Waiting. Howard let the silence stretch, staring him down like a predator sizing up its prey. Michael cleared his throat. I did what I thought was best for the department. Howard didn't blink. I asked if you gave him the job because he's Richard's nephew. Michael licked his lips, his confidence crumbling. I mean, that may have been a small factor. Howard exhaled sharply through his nose. Almost a laugh, but not the funny kind. The kind that said, you just hung yourself, and you don't even realize it yet. A small factor, Howard repeated. He shook his head slowly. Jesus Christ, Michael. Michael straightened. Look, Howard. Howard held up a hand. You're done talking. Michael shut up. Howard turned back to me. Wes, do you still want to leave? Michael snapped his head toward me so fast I thought he'd get whiplash. I didn't answer right away. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to get up, walk out of this place, and let them deal with the mess they made. But then I thought about all the years I had put into this company. All the nights I had spent making sure everything ran smoothly while people like Michael sat back and took credit. I thought about how many times I had sacrificed my own time, my own peace, just to make sure the work got done. And I thought about how, if I left, nothing would change. People like Michael would keep getting away with it. People like me would keep getting screwed over. I took a slow breath, then looked Howard straight in the eye. That depends. If I stay, am I working under Michael? Michael let out a forced laugh. Oh, come on, Wes. Let's not be dramatic. Shut up, Michael. Howard's voice was sharp, final. He turned to me. If you stay, you won't be answering to Michael. Michael froze. I tilted my head. Who would I be answering to? Howard smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that made my stomach tighten. You. The words took a second to register. Michael blinked. What? Howard turned to him. You're done here, Michael. Michael laughed again, but this time it was thin, desperate. Howard, you can't be serious. Howard's expression didn't change. Pack your things. Michael shot out of his chair. You're firing me over this? Howard, let's be reasonable. You can't just. I can, Howard interrupted. His voice was calm, absolute. And I just did. Michael's face turned a deep shade of red. This is SHT. He turned to me, eyes burning with fury. This is because of you. I met his glare without flinching. No, Michael. This is because of you. Howard gestured toward the door. Security will be here in a few minutes to escort you out. Michael stood there, breathing heavily, jaw clenched. Then, without another word, he turned and stormed out of the office. The moment the door shut behind him, Howard let out a tired sigh. He rubbed his face, then looked at me. So, what do you say, Wes? I glanced down at my resignation letter. Then back at Howard. And I made my decision. I looked down at my resignation letter, the paper crisp and clean, still unsigned. It felt strange, almost surreal, that I had walked into this office fully prepared to walk away. And now, the man who tried to push me out of the company had just been escorted out instead. Howard watched me, waiting. So, Wes. What do you say? I let out a slow breath. If I take the job, I want full control over my department. No interference. Howard nodded. Agreed. I also want to reevaluate all senior leadership decisions over the past 3 years. Howard tilted his head. Looking for something in particular? I met his gaze evenly. I want to make sure the next person who works there be TT off for a promotion actually gets it. Howard smirked. I like the way you think. I picked up my resignation letter, stared at it for a moment, then ripped it clean in half. Then I'm staying. Howard stood and extended his hand. I shook it. That was it. I had one. Michael tried to fight it. Oh, he tried. He threatened to sue, claimed he was being treated unfairly, even made a scene in the parking lot when security escorted him out of the building. But Howard had already done his homework. Within a day, every shady decision Michael had made over the past 5 years was brought into the light. Turns out, my promotion wasn't the only one he had manipulated. There were plenty of other cases where people had been passed over for personal connections. He had quietly funneled contracts toward his friends, taken kickbacks, and even manipulated performance reports to make himself look better. By the time everything was said and done, Michael Donovan left Bradford and Company in disgrace. The industry is small when you get to senior positions. Word spread fast. No company worth a damn wanted anything to do with him. Meanwhile, I got to work. First, I met with my department. I told them things were going to change. No more favoritism, no more backroom deals. I made it clear that promotions would be earned, not given. Second, I had a talk with Brad Faulkner. I didn't fire him. I could have, but that would have been too easy. Instead, I sat him down and gave him a choice. Brad, you have 2 options. You can stay, but you start from scratch. Entry level, just like everyone else. No special treatment, no favors. You learn the job the right way, or you leave. To my surprise, he actually stayed. I think he realized, deep down, that he wasn't ready for the position. Over time, he proved himself. Not because of his last name, but because he actually put in the work. I made sure of it. As for me, the company thrived. Under my leadership, the department became one of the strongest in the company. Productivity went up. Employee morale improved. I even mentored younger employees, making sure they got the guidance I never had when I was coming up. Howard kept his word. I had full control, and he never interfered. He even backed my new hiring policies, making sure the company stayed fair moving forward. And as for Michael? Last I heard, he tried to start his own consulting firm. It failed. He's now working for a small logistics company in another city, earning less than he did 5 years ago. That's what happens when you burn bridges. You get left behind. Looking back, I realized that revenge isn't always about destroying someone. It's about proving that you were the better person all along. Michael thought he could walk all over me, but in the end, I walked right past him. And I made damn sure that no one like him would ever pull that stunt again. Because if you let people get away with injustice, they'll keep doing it. But if you stand your ground, they fall. And you rise.
الغنوة اللي جاية دي حضراتكم هقولوها معايا، يعني انتوا رغبتكم، بس انتوا اول ما هتسمعوها هتعرفوا. انما انا عايز اقول لكم هي كلمات مين؟ هي كلمات الدكتور مدحت العدل والحان خالد حماد وتوزيعه برضه. هنغنيها اول ما تسمعوا الدخول، هتغنوا معانا على طول.